It's time to start your morning by taking 5. Here's your host, Matt McMaster.
You're listening to Take 5, quick 5-minute take on the biggest things happening in Nebraska sports. I'm your host, Matt McMaster. Today we are talking about Michigan State versus Nebraska. Finally, after what's felt like 30 years of not having Nebraska football, we have it back tomorrow at Memorial Stadium on FS1, 3 o'clock. Kickoff against the Michigan State Spartans. Should be a very interesting matchup. We'll talk about two different aspects of this game. We're going to talk about the X's and O's, and then we're going to talk about kind of the mentality and things that Nebraska has to play through. And I'll get to that in a second. But first, to the kind of pen and paper and Jimmy's and Joe's and everything like that. I think that this is a very good matchup for Nebraska. Nebraska's weakness on defense is a systematic run problem, right? They don't just have a running defense problem from the D-line. They have a running defense problem from the D-line, from the linebackers, and from the safeties. I think that was proven against Michigan. There were too many times that Michigan would engage in blocks. Nebraska couldn't get off of them, whether it was D-line, linebackers, or safeties. I think there were some run fit problems. I think there might have been some schematic problems in terms of stunts that they were doing on front of the line. I think that the bye week is going to be really good for them to evaluate that, evaluate what they're doing wrong, fix some things, make some tweaks, get that going. Luckily for them, Michigan State does not have an overpowering run game. Okay, the run game isn't nothing, but their EPA, or expected points added per rush, is only .03. It's 68th in the country. This is not a Michigan State team that has the hit the head on the goalpost type runners that Michigan did, where they're going to be able to have explosive play after explosive play. Their pass defense has been something great. Nebraska's pass defense has been absolutely incredible this year, one of the best in the country. Their expected points added per pass, 12th in the country. They're going to be playing the best quarterback they have all season long. Aiden Childs is a dude. They're going to be playing some of the best wide receivers they've had. Amari Kelly and Nick Marsh, both very capable pass catchers for Michigan State. They're going to be challenged. I don't think that they're going to be as dominant as they might have looked against Michigan or Cincinnati, but I still think that the strength of this team in general is the secondary. And so that'll be a very interesting matchup, but that's a matchup that for Michigan State plays into the strength of Nebraska's defense. And you're going to find that that's kind of a theme. Nebraska's weaknesses are not being exposed, and Nebraska's strengths are actually being challenged, and I think that's a good thing for this team. If we go to the other side of the ball, Nebraska's offense versus Michigan State's defense, Nebraska's offensive strength has been passing the ball. They're one of the best teams in the country when it comes to passing the ball. Yards, completion percentage, touchdowns, interceptions. Dylan Raiola, Dana Holgerson, the wide receiving core, even down to the tight ends with Luke Lindenmeyer, have been really, really good. And that is a weakness of Michigan State's defense. They're one of the worst passing defenses in the country. Their success rate against the pass this season is 118th. In the country. Their EPA per pass is 126 in the country. It is just not not even close to strength, a major weakness for Michigan State. And so you have now on both sides of the ball that Michigan State is playing into Nebraska's strengths, and Nebraska's offense is playing into Michigan State's defense. I think that, calls obviously for a very advantageous matchup in this game, and it's part of the reason why Nebraska is favored by 11.5 points. I think the keys for Nebraska, obviously don't turn the ball over. I think you got to control the game. I think this team isn't a type of team where they can just run the ball down your throat over and over and over and over again, but they also can dink and dunk, take time off, play the time of possession game, wear down Michigan State's defense. I think it's crucial for Nebraska, who has the talent advantage in this game, to wear down the Spartans, to take their time, to really, maybe mix up some tempo, but also make sure that they're holding on to the football. And the longer they can go with keeping the ball out of the hands of Aiden Childs, the better it will be for them. Let's go to the other aspect of this game, the mental aspect of this game. Because let's be real here. Not just under, if you look at the history of Nebraska football over the last 5 years, Scott Frost and Matt Rule included, these are games where Nebraska is favored at home against a Power 5 opponent that they have lost. They lost 2 of them last year. Last year they were favored by 7.5 to 7.5 to UCLA and 9.5 points by Illinois. They lost both of those games. Dating back to 2021, there have been 9 games in the Big Ten that Nebraska has been favored, and they ended up losing. Okay? That is unacceptable and something that has to change. And in my opinion, if they're going to take the next step as a program, it's not necessarily about beating the ranked teams and beating Penn State and beating Michigan and beating Ohio State. They just have to beat the teams that they should beat. They should beat Michigan State. They should. They're favored by 11.5 points. They should beat Northwestern and Minnesota later in the year, in my opinion. And that is, can you get the job done? Can you accomplish the things that you're expected to accomplish? And not only just that, how do you handle adversity coming off of a loss? They were confident heading into the Michigan game. They truly believed that they were going to win that game and they were going to look good doing it. And not only did they lose that game, but they got physically beat in that game in a way that they didn't think that they would. What does that do to the psyche? How does that affect Nebraska football in this game? In my opinion, if you have a strong culture, it shouldn't. Right? Their message pretty consistently over the last couple of years has been 1-0, 1-0. We want to go 1-0. We're taking it one at a time. This is where you prove that. This is where you actually do prove what you've been saying, is that the culture has never been stronger and this is a player-led team. If this team can come out against Michigan State and win this game and look good doing it and be dominant from bell to bell, it will prove to me everything I need to know about Nebraska football under Matt Rule and whether or not they can be successful. If they come out and they're flat and they end up losing that game, it does the same thing too. I think this is a game where you're going to learn a ton about the character, the culture, and makeup of Nebraska football. I think up to this point, the last couple of years, it's been fairly positive in terms of how we look at how this team has been built and the culture and the standards that they're trying to set. This will be a proving game for Nebraska football. Start of October, a big month for you, a month where you very easily, not very easily, but you very well could go 4-0. How do you kick it off? How do you come off of a loss? How do you play a team that you're heavily favored against at home? How do you do it? And if they do it at a high level, I think the sky is the limit for this program. All right, that's been Take 5, and I've been Matt McMaster.